Imagine a fully functioning economy operating right now where nobody pays a platform fee.
Right.
Nobody reports to a boss.
Hmm.
No algorithm is controlling what you see,
Mm.
and nobody is actively tracking your data just to, sell you back your own insecurities.
Which is pretty much the baseline of our entire reality right now.
Exactly. I mean, you would think that to build a reality like that, to completely step out of the matrix, it would require like a massive violent revolution.
Yeah, a total upheaval.
Right, because we have this built-in assumption that any big societal shift requires grinding gears, loud protests, decades of legislative pushing and pulling, like a really messy fight.
Well, because that is the historical precedent we are taught. We inherently feel that the systems we live under, whether that's economic, medical, educational, they're so deeply entrenched.
Yeah.
So to change them, you basically have to dismantle a fortress brick by brick.
But the stack of sources sitting on our desk today, for today's deep dive, reveals something entirely different.
It really does.
It bypasses the fight entirely. So for this deep dive, we are exploring a set of documents that map out a completely alternative way of living.
And it rewrites the fundamental rules of basically everything. Education, healing, community, survival.
It's massive. And
Yeah.
I want to set the parameters right up front. The reality outlined on these pages takes a highly critical stance on modern institutions.
Very critical.
Yeah. We're talking absolute rejections of traditional schooling, conventional governance, algorithmic social media, and the pharmaceutical industry.
It is a radical departure from the norm.
It is. And as your guides today, our job isn't to take a political side on those massive industries or, to validate or invalidate the critiques that texts make. We're just looking at the documents.
Right. We're remaining completely neutral on the politics of it all.
Exactly. Our mission is to take you, yes, you listening to this right now, inside the thought experiment, to vividly translate the actual mechanics of the world these sources describe.
Because you don't just read these documents, you kind of have to step into them.
You do.
You have to suspend your current baseline. You have to look at the bureaucratic, heavily mediated way we live right now and just drop it.
Just put it down for the next hour.
Exactly.
So I want you to just sit back. We all know modern life feels like a series of overwhelming broken systems.
Exhausting system.
Right. Just imagine a landscape where those systems haven't been fixed with new policies, but have simply been walked away from, replaced by something fiercely human.
And the documents don't start with grand infrastructural blueprints either.
No, they don't. They start with the human things.
Yeah, just a montage of human lives.
Like a child who loves learning, completely unbothered by a school bell.
A clean trade between two strangers who just walk away as friends.
A person who, after years of feeling invisible, finally finds their people, and without a machine telling them where to look.
Or a family that just stopped being afraid of the future.
It is the intimacy of those examples that really hooks you.
It is. It's a fundamental shift in the texture of a Tuesday afternoon.
Okay, so let's unpack this, because as you dig into the mechanics of this world, you realize this isn't just a hopeful philosophy.
No, it's a literal blueprint for daily survival.
Let's start where human life starts, childhood and the developing mind.
Right.
In this ecosystem, the sources say homeschooling is not the fringe alternative.
It's not the weird thing.
Exactly. It is the absolute standard.
And we need to look at how that functions mechanically because it completely reorients the human operating system.
It really does.
In our standard model, education is batched. It is an industrial process.
An assembly line.
Right. You take 30 children of the exact same manufacturing date, their birth year, and you move them along an assembly line of subjects.
And what's the primary tool of that assembly line?
The bell.
The bell. Think of a child in our normal world who is deeply engrossed in something.
Like they're watching a caterpillar.
Yeah, or figuring out how a simple pulley works, or they're just painting. They are in a state of absolute flow.
Just completely locked in.
And then ring. The bell rings.
Time for math.
Curiosity over.
Yeah.
Please move to station 4.
The psychological impact of that interruption is staggering when you compound it over 12 years.
It's heartbreaking.
It really is. The bell was literally designed to train factory workers to shift from one manual task to another on command.
Wow.
It trains the brain to ignore its internal state, its natural focus, its deep curiosity.
All in favor of an external authoritative sound.
Right. It creates artificial fragmentation in a developing prefrontal cortex.
Which is just, it's wild to think about. We are actively conditioning kids to stop caring about what they're doing the second a buzzer goes off.
Yes.
But in the reality we are exploring today, That bell does not exist.
Not at all.
Education is a bespoke process. It's tailored entirely to the pace and curiosity of the individual mind.
Guided by the parents who actually observe them.
Exactly. Imagine the neurological difference there.
Well, when a child is allowed to stay with the subject until their internal curiosity is actually satiated, they learn how to learn. They develop intrinsic motivation. They don't study to pass a standardized test.
They study to understand their environment.
Exactly.
We usually think of education as this gauntlet you have to survive, like a marathon of compliance.
Yeah, a test of endurance.
But here, it's highly localized, decentralized learning. And I have to wonder, what happens to a human being when their natural rhythm has never been broken?
It's a profound question.
Can you imagine the adults that kind of system produces?
They would be adults with an immense capacity for deep work.
Yes.
But more importantly, they would be adults who fundamentally trust their own internal signals.
Right. Because they were never taught to ignore them.
Exactly. They know how to direct their own attention.
And if we follow the logic of these sources, that deep self-trust naturally extends into how this society handles the physical body.
Reclaiming wellness.
Yes. The texts frame this in a stark, almost jarring contrast to our current medical reality.
It's a huge paradigm shift.
In this alternative world, the reliance on massive pharmaceutical infrastructures is just gone.
Healing goes directly to the source.
They utilize plants, breathwork, and the body's innate intelligence.
What the documents describe as thousands of years of ancient, proven wisdom.
To understand why this is so central to their world, we have to look at the mechanism of modern friction.
The obstacle course.
Right. Think about the physiological toll of our current healthcare system. When you are sick, your body is already under stress.
Your immune system is fighting.
But to get help, you have to navigate this insane maze. You call for an appointment.
You wait on hold for 20 minutes.
You argue with an insurance portal. You sit in a waiting room under fluorescent lights.
Filling out clipboards of repetitive paperwork.
Over and over, your cortisol is just spiking.
And you're just hoping the specialist you see for exactly 8 minutes will actually listen to you.
It's the bureaucracy of survival.
That's a great way to put it.
And that bureaucracy is inherently disempowering. You are entirely dependent on a massive, slow-moving machine just to feel okay.
Well, the sources argue that this dependency actually exacerbates illness.
Oh, absolutely.
It creates a chronic state of low-level panic. So when this alternative community utilizes readily available plant medicine and breath work, they are doing two things.
What's the second thing?
They are treating the ailment, yes, but mechanically, they are also removing the bureaucratic trauma from the healing process.
No prescription required.
Yeah.
No insurance premiums. No waiting room.
None of it.
You have access to what you need right from the earth and right from your own lungs.
And the knowledge of how to use these things is shared freely, human to human.
I just want to pause on that.
Yeah.
Let that sit for a moment.
It's a lot to take in.
Imagine the sheer physical relief of being the family we mentioned earlier.
The one that stopped being afraid.
Yes. How much of our ambient daily anxiety comes from the quiet terror of getting sick?
And having to navigate a financial and bureaucratic maze just to survive it.
It is an immense psychological weight.
It really is. When you realize that the tools for your own baseline wellness are accessible, when you move from fearful dependency to empowered autonomy, your entire nervous system downregulates.
You can actually relax.
You could just breathe.
And when you have a generation of people with unbothered, deeply focused minds and healed, autonomous bodies, what do they do next?
They look for each other.
Which brings us to the next layer of this ecosystem, the intentional web.
This is a crucial pivot in the documents.
It is. Once the individual is solid, how do they interact with the collective?
Right. How do they connect in a world that has largely abandoned traditional social media?
The sources declare the absolute death of doom scrolling.
Which is a profound shift in human behavior.
Huge. Let's look at how we currently connect. We carry around these devices that expose us to millions of voices.
Yet loneliness is at absolute epidemic levels.
Why is that?
Because the algorithms dictating our feeds are sorting mechanisms.
Right.
And they sort for engagement, which usually means they sort for outrage, agitation, or mindless numbing.
They act as the ultimate middleman for human interaction.
Yes.
The machine introduces you to strangers based on what will keep your eyeballs on the screen for 3 more seconds.
It's entirely transactional.
But in the reality mapped out here, that mechanism is completely absent.
Community is not algorithmically assigned.
It is fiercely intentional.
The sources outline a very specific method of connection.
Yeah, you don't find people based on superficial demographics or zip codes.
You find them based on shared values.
What are they building? Where are they going?
And most poignantly, the text says you find them by what they are healing.
I cannot get over that phrasing.
It's powerful.
Finding people by what they are healing, that completely rewires the dynamic of meeting someone.
It does.
You aren't bonding over a shared hatred of a political figure or, a mutual hobby.
Yeah.
You are bonding over a shared vulnerability, a shared trajectory of recovery and growth.
Mechanically, this creates a high-trust network right from the start.
Right. Because the walls are down.
Exactly. If I know what you are trying to heal, and you know what I am trying to build, we bypass the performative small talk.
We are immediately operating on a plane of mutual support.
Think about someone who has felt fundamentally misunderstood their entire life.
Like they've always felt just a little out of step with the modern hustle.
Yeah. And then intentionally, without a machine feeding them optimized profiles, they step into a circle of people who just get it.
The profound physical exhale of finally being understood.
Not finding your real ones.
And when people come together with that level of psychological safety and shared intention, the things they produce together change entirely.
It fundamentally alters the concept of creativity.
Which is so refreshing. Because in our current digital landscape, creativity has been violently reduced to a horrific little word.
Content.
Content.
It is a very revealing piece of vocabulary.
It is. Think about it. Content, it literally sounds like filler.
Stuffing.
Yeah, stuffing. It is just volume designed to fill a void between advertisements.
We have trained a whole generation of visionaries to view their art as a liquid.
A liquid that simply takes the shape of whatever platform is currently monetizing them.
Right.
But the sources state that in this new world, creativity is sacred again.
It is not packaged.
No. And it is not optimized for a dopamine loop.
When you remove the algorithm, you remove the treadmill.
You don't have to create a 7-second hook to stop someone from swiping past your life's work.
You don't have to manufacture a viral moment.
Exactly. What happens to a builder, a writer, a painter when their work actually belongs to them?
And when it is delivered directly to the people it was specifically made for?
The economics of attention are replaced by the economics of resonance.
The relief for the creator must be staggering.
It has to be. They can spend 6 months working on something that actually matters to their local community.
Rather than churning out daily filler to appease a search engine?
The art becomes a true reflection of the human spirit again.
Okay, so we have intentional learning, autonomous natural healing, profound high-trust connection, and sacred creativity.
Honestly, it sounds like a beautiful philosophical utopia.
A lovely thought experiment.
But here is where we have to ask the hard logistical questions.
Right.
How do they survive? How does this society actually sustain itself functionally?
We have to move from emotional alignment to physical sustenance.
Because the documents are very clear. This isn't just a support group.
No, it is a fully functioning economy.
The human-to-human market.
The texts describe a marketplace with zero middlemen.
Think about the mechanics of that. What you grow, what you make, or what you create has direct, tangible value to someone else who needs it.
Period.
We contrast this clean economy with our current extracted economy. The operational difference is massive.
Huge. In our current system, almost every transaction is mediated.
Someone is always taking a cut.
A platform fee.
A credit card processing fee.
A corporate margin. An administrative tax.
The value of your labor is constantly being siphoned off by invisible third parties.
But here, the sources describe a trade between two strangers who walk away as friends.
It's a clean exchange.
Yeah.
No one is taking a 15% cut of the table you built or the tomatoes you grew.
It all stays within the exchange.
But I have to challenge this because it sounds incredibly difficult to scale.
Sure.
In traditional economics, this is called the double coincidence of wants problem. Pure barter is inefficient.
Right.
If I have tomatoes and I need a chair, I have to find a chair maker who specifically wants tomatoes today. How does this actually work without collapsing?
That is exactly where the concept of the intentional community we just discussed becomes the economic engine.
Right.
In a high-trust network where people are aligned by values, and shared healing trade isn't just a one-to-one immediate barter.
What is it then?
It operates on relationship capital. It's delayed reciprocity.
Ah.
If you give the chairmaker your tomatoes today, the community records that value, not necessarily on a ledger, but in the social fabric.
So if I trade with you We aren't just exchanging calories for furniture.
No. We are exchanging respect.
Right.
We are acknowledging each other's capability and existence.
Precisely. The transaction itself builds the infrastructure of the community.
In an extracted economy, a transaction ends when the credit card clears.
Right.
In a human-to-human market, a transaction is the beginning of a mutual obligation.
It generates trust just as much as it generates material survival.
Exactly.
And if you have a community that trades with that level of localized trust, it completely rewires how they govern themselves.
The sources take a very hard line on this.
They state that governance in this world is not something done to you,
It is something done by you.
with people you know,
Mm.
toward a future you actually designed together,
We are so conditioned to view governance as this distant, frustrating monolith.
like a massive forced software update pushed to your phone in the middle of the night.
That's a great analogy.
You have no say in the bugs it introduces. You just wake up and have to live with the new interface.
We view civic duty as the passive act of voting every 4 years, crossing our fingers, and hoping people in a faraway room don't make decisions that ruin our daily lives.
The texts propose entirely abandoning that passive hope.
Governance becomes an active, open-source reality.
You are writing the code with your neighbors.
You are actually proposing, discussing, and deciding resource allocation together equally.
But again, let's look at human nature. That sounds incredibly heavy.
It does.
It reads like neighbors sitting around a table hashing out a water sharing agreement or a land use policy.
Mm-hmm.
Humans are messy.
Very messy.
What happens when two neighbors fundamentally disagree? Does this utopian vision survive a bad harvest or a bitter dispute?
Right, because you can't just complain about the government anymore because you are the government.
Exactly.
It is an immense burden. It requires constant active participation.
But that is the exact price of actual freedom.
When you outsource your governance to a distant entity, you are outsourcing your autonomy.
You are paying for the convenience of not having to argue with your neighbor.
But the cost is that a stranger now dictates your life.
Wow.
By bringing decision-making back to the local human-to-human level, it forces conflict resolution.
You have to look the person you disagree with in the eye.
And because you are tied to them economically, because they're the one who grows the tomatoes or builds the chairs, you are highly incentivized to find a solution that doesn't destroy the relationship.
You have skin in the game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It creates a resilient system because the feedback loop is immediate.
If a policy fails, you don't wait 4 years to vote out a representative.
You walk next door and fix it together the next morning.
And that concept of walking next door is vital.
It is the crux of it all.
Because here is where the sources make a massive, breathtaking pivot.
Yeah.
Everything we've discussed so far, the unbothered, deep focus learning, the autonomous healing, the clean trading, the intentional connecting, the shared high-trust governing, it feels like an incredible philosophy.
A beautiful way to align your mindset online.
But the documents reveal that all this online alignment, all of this philosophical agreement, is merely the preamble.
It is the vetting ground for a physical leap.
This is where the vision hits the dirt.
Yeah.
The texts talk about going off-grid.
And we have to redefine what that means.
Because going off-grid usually carries a very specific paranoid connotation.
Right.
The lone wolf in the woods.
Stockpiling canned beans, building a bunker, hiding from the world.
Running away.
But the sources explicitly reframe this.
They argue that going off-grid in this ecosystem is not isolating.
No, it is the most connected you have ever felt in your entire life.
Why? Because you are not doing it alone. You are doing it alongside hundreds of others.
The phrasing in the source material is critical here.
What does it say?
It says people are making this leap because they are, quote, done depending on systems that were never built with them in mind, unquote.
Done depending on systems.
Right. This isn't about escaping humanity. It's about rescuing it.
It's about building anew so nobody has to figure out how to filter water or generate power or educate their kids in isolation.
It is the grand progression of their entire philosophy.
You start in the digital space.
You find your people based on what you are healing.
You align your values. You practice the human-to-human economy.
You establish trust and governance protocols.
And then, once the social infrastructure is bulletproof, you take it into the physical world.
Real land.
Real homes.
Real food.
Real freedom.
Decentralized infrastructure built by the people who will actually use it.
The online ecosystem ensures that by the time you step onto that physical land, you aren't living with strangers.
You are moving in with a pre-vetted village.
The economy and the governance are already functioning before the first shovel hits the earth.
I want to slow down here.
Yeah.
I really want to pull back and look at the whole picture.
Because we have covered so much ground mechanically and philosophically.
And the reality that is forming in these documents is...
It's almost too bright to look at directly.
It really is.
Just think about the actual lives we just traced.
A child sitting in the tall grass, dissecting a flower for 3 hours until their curiosity is completely satisfied.
Never once interrupted by a buzzer.
A mother who isn't terrified of a medical bill she can't pay.
Because she holds the knowledge of the plants growing right outside her door to heal her family's ailments.
A man who paints, not for an algorithm that demands daily content.
But for the neighbors who trade him fresh-baked bread for his canvases.
A community that sits in a circle, looking each other in the eye.
Bearing the heavy but beautiful responsibility of deciding how to share their water and their harvest.
A physical piece of land where all of this is actually functioning.
Where human beings are no longer dependent on systems that extract their wealth.
Fragment their attention.
And tax their peace of mind.
The sources have a name for this destination.
They call it heaven on earth.
And we have to be very careful to understand exactly how they mean that phrasing.
Yes. They do not mean it as a metaphor. They do not mean it as a distant spiritual hope for the afterlife.
They present heaven on earth as a logistical destination.
Something you build in the dirt.
With your own hands.
Alongside your real ones.
If you are listening to this deep dive right now...
I know there's a specific feeling that comes up when you hear a vision like this detailed out.
It's a very distinct, gentle ache.
It's the feeling of wanting something so badly. Knowing deep in your bones that it makes so much more logical, human sense than the fragmented, bureaucratic way we live now.
But almost not letting yourself believe it could be real.
Because if you let yourself believe it, and it turns out to just be a fairy tale, the disappointment would be crushing.
Exactly.
We are so accustomed to the friction, so used to the broken systems, that a healed world sounds like pure fiction.
We've spent the last hour talking about this like it's a what if.
Like it's a beautiful thought experiment for a better tomorrow.
But
looking at the final pages of these sources,
that world isn't coming.
It's here.
It actually exists.
Not someday.
Not in a development phase.
Not a vision board for 10 years down the road.
It is happening right now.
It is live.
It is free.
It is open.
And it is entirely real.
The infrastructure, the intentional community, the human-to-human trades, the healing network.
We are already functioning.
It's called Evolution of Souls.
And the people already inside it are waiting for you.
Come on in.
Yeah.
So, if the door to a completely new way of living one that doesn't require a loud, messy fight, but simply a quiet, intentional step, is standing wide open right in front of you.
What is actually keeping you tied to the old one?